Croeso nôl, mwy bon dias. Welcome back to another thrilling episode of the Finker Ymdrech Diaries. I think in the last video I made I said that we weren't going to be working in the garden this year, we were going to prioritise the house. Well, it's still midwinter here, well, towards the end of the winter I'm guessing now, it's January. And I still haven't finished cleaning the garden. There always seemed to be something else to do. I had to give up on the garden, to be honest. Even though we no dig, my beds being still quite young or new, I still want to aerate the soil. Watch all the videos on YouTube, there are plenty of them on no dig, all done by more experienced and knowledgeable people than me. But being the lazy devil, I thought no dig, that sounds like something I want to be part of. So initially I did as they said, just laid some cardboard on top of the ground, put some compost on top of that and planted my plants. Well, I quickly realised that I couldn't hope to get my hands on enough compost to be doing that year on year. And what they say is before you add to the compost, then you put the fork in and just try and aerate it, the soil I should say. So my soil, as I've said before, gets left to its own devices. It goes like concrete, so it got to the stage that I couldn't drive the fork in. You know, it was taking me literally a day to do an 8-metre bed, and I had blisters on my hand. In the end I gave it up as a bad job. So I gave up on the garden. As a friend of mine always says, when you ride a tiger you got to know when to get off. So I decided to leave the garden to its own devices for a minute. It wasn't urgent. I had some trees on order for my orchard, and I had a phone call to say that they were about due. So I thought, blinking heck, I better start clearing my orchard. Then it rained. So now the ground is in my vegetable plot, or huerta, I could put the fork into it quite easily now. And then the man in the village phoned me to say that my seed potatoes are in. So I ordered my seed potatoes back in November, and so they're there. So now I've got unfinished beds, I got a big packet of seed potatoes, and my tree delivery is imminent, and I have unfinished working. So all of a sudden I find myself busy again. But you know, such are my stresses, the trials and tribulations of a simple life. So in between sorting the garden out, we still have firewood to cut, etc, etc. I seem to have more time to myself when I have to go to work every day. But anyway, let me give you a quick tour of how the garden is doing. You may not be able to see, but the strawberries I planted aren't doing too bad. Well, they're surviving at least. But out of 40 cabbage plants I planted, despite putting sulphur, I've got 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not very good average if you think about it, and none of them are looking particularly well. My artichoke is starting to look a bit healthier, but I fear it's a bit late in the season really. The broad beans, I should say, are rallying, but I can't say that they're looking particularly well. Yeah, in the end she planted ones that have survived and, well, I don't know what to say, a bit weedy. And the first planting of potatoes. Now these were, again, not doing hugely well. Now the garlic use on my plant, Christmas week I think it was. It seemed to be okay. Underneath all that mulch, I thought I'd over mulched them if I'm honest. And even more of a surprise, there's onions in amongst all this mulch that seem to be doing okay. The idea is you don't dig, as I think I've said before. You put the fork in, and if you encounter something, then you dig. But you just go like that just to aerate it. But last week, I couldn't put the fork in. I hit the stone now, so normally when I hit the stone, I dig it out. Usually I throw it across next door's fence, but when I looked in to see next door's field, there was so many stones there that I realised I'd better stop. See, this is what happens. So there's a big stone in there. So this is the problem. The size of that.
Where there's only one kind. So hush that child.
Pushing the blues and celebrating the very best electronic music of the 70s, 80s and 90s.
Radio. Lunchtime anthems.
The biggest songs of the 70s, 80s and 90s, all of them hand-picked lunchtime anthems between now and 2. That's Hot Chocolate. And so you win again. More on our Electronica weekend to come. Plus
Wind is building. The forecast says rain tomorrow. I never thought I'd say this, but we need a bit of rain. I'm off on my evening stroll with the Ugly Sisters. I thought I'd share with you some of the differences between ecological farming methods, or orcharding methods, fruit growing methods, and non-ecological methods. So you can't smell it, but I'm just walking through my neighbour's orange grove orchard, I don't know what you'd call it, and he calls himself ecological something or other, unpronounceable the rest of it is. Now I don't know whether he's organic, but he's certainly ecological. He doesn't spray anything, and he doesn't plough or till. So as you can see, he lets the grass and weeds grow in and amongst his trees, and you can also see that he has dirt. Now every year he puts quite a lot of manure in here, and when he prunes, he does prune heavily, as you can maybe see. Oh, I wish I was a good cameraman. Pruning is a bit of a religion in Spain. They would be called vandalism in the UK. But when he prunes, he puts all the brash in the rows, and then they drive over to the tractor and they essentially mow it. All the bigger bits he leaves there for firewood. You can see now, about 2 or 3 times a year he comes through here with his trimmer and he cuts all this. Now I imagine he's going to be doing it quite soon, because it's harvest season for oranges, I would say. You can see here that the boar have been through, rooting about all the way up this one by the look of it. Haberlee, I should say, not boar. Going into different farmers' field now. You can see look at the difference. That's ecological. This is normal. What they do, they spray weed killer. And in my opinion, that's why you see no dirt. Be forgiven to think we're on the beach. Now this land I've shown you previously belongs to Paco. And Paco is also one of the weed killer brigade. Whatever you say about the methods, his orchard is in pristine condition. So Paco weed kills, sprays for weeds, he de-plows, and his fertilizer comes in the bag. I don't know if you can see that. We always used to see him everywhere on his old green tractor. Sadly, a couple of weeks ago, we found out that Paco had died. He went home from work, had his tea, fell asleep in the chair, and never woke up. Paco was one of the first locals to speak to us, or to go out of his way to speak to us. He would always bring us oranges and nuts and tell us to help ourselves once he'd finished harvesting. So this orchard is in pristine condition as far as acceptable farming practices, modern farming practices in Spain. So, but because Paco ploughs so much, in my opinion, but before Paco waters, he does this deep plough effect to hold the water, and about 3 times a year he does a shallow plough just to keep the weeds down. In fact, he would probably have ploughed again by now because the weeds are starting to come up. And so what he does, he phones a man in the mountains, as he tells me. He opens the floodgate, and then the water comes down these canals, and then he opens these removable sluice gates. Not that I'm a real farmer or TV reporter, but the problem with this type of farming, or agriculture I should say, is that in the absence of ground cover, whenever Paco waters, all he does is wash even more topsoil away. And then the wind blows, and that blows dust everywhere, mainly to my house. So year by year, teachers have in school like erosion, land erosion. It's one of the sluice gates. And another one. There wasn't much of a cripple here, poor old sod. These dirty marks you see on the trees, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. That's where the pigs rub themselves against them. Come on, Chunk. When the trees are young, Paco cuts them all at sort of this height to encourage them to grow in this shape. I think they call it the open wine glass, something like that, or the open hand goblet. That's why you see all his trees just like that. There's one, look. See, cut some there. I think they call it the central leader or something. He used to always tell me, solo tres, only three. Only three. 1, 2, 3. It's hard to believe that I watched him plant these trees. This is a new orchard of almonds being established. They planted these 2 days ago. Still haven't backfilled the trenches yet. You can see them look straight as a die. And if you look very carefully, you can see where they've all been cut to encourage them. I don't want to go in and take a close up. You can see they've all been cut in the same place. It doesn't take long to cut it down, but obviously you've got quite a bit of tidying up to do now. So I get a bit of peace tomorrow from these ugly sisters. Frida likes to have her bum rubbed, haunches. So tomorrow I got a feeling I'll be tripping all day. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't started my tractor in months and months and months. However, in a rare moment of clarity, I did put a solar panel on it a few weeks ago for the battery. So, fingers crossed. I thought it was all going too well. Looks like one of my brakes is seized up. That's what we get for leaving machinery idle. I was hoping some shock tactics would get it moving, but looks like a bit of spanner work is called for. Well, I finally got the tractor moving. Brake is still dragging a bit, but with a bit of gentle persuasion with not a very big hammer. As you can hear, it's running in the background. think I'll give it a little bit of love though. So the tyres are flat. And it's in need of a bit of lubrication here and there, so it's a bit of a setback, but such is life. Not much in there. My garage is a right mess again. Either I'm not as organised as some of these people who see with tidy garages, or just busier. Right. Quad hasn't run for a while. Let's see if it'll go. Petrol. Choke. Frida, what are you doing up there? You're a nuisance. Should be on the floor like your sister. Your sister with a bigger tongue. I managed to free the brakes off last night. They're still dragging a bit, but hopefully they'll free off with a bit of use. As you can see, or just witnessed I should say, despite my investment in labour saving devices, it takes quite a while to get set up. I better go and get my personal PPE, let's try that again, personal protection equipment, because my mother's watching. I'd intended putting overalls on today because I'm going to get filthy, but it's too close. I want to say close, it's, don't know whether that's a Welshism, but it's very, very mild. Grey, but mild. Anyway, let me go and get some ear protection, etc. Well, it's my third shift of chipping. As you can see, it's not quite the Gobi Desert, but I'm getting there. It's quite a bit more to a chip yet. So developing quite a stash, all of which I can use for mulch and compost, etc. My little chipper and tractor combination are working hard. I tell you something, when you've been wrestling gnarly bits of olive like this into there all day, you don't get much trouble sleeping. I got aches in places I didn't even know I had places, and I get bits of wood chip in most of those places, but I'll spare you the details. Anyway, time for dinner. Better go and see what the ugly sisters are doing in the house on their own. Right, well, even though I keep telling myself we no dig, the problems we found with no dig potatoes is that unless they're covered by a substantial amount of straw, then they go green. I'm going to make a little hollow, put the potatoes in, and then cover them with straw. Last 10 kilos of seed potatoes planted, or patata de siembra. Patata de siembra. 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 I didn't particularly want 2.5 rows of potatoes because of the bed space they take. I've got onions, garlic taking up beds, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 beds of potatoes technically, even though, so if I'm not careful I could end up with the onset of the growing season proper, tomatoes and peppers, and all my beds occupied with potatoes. But The dogs aren't much help to me, as you can see. They're like a sleeping bag. Thanks for watching till the end. I know this video's dragged on a bit. What I've been trying to say from the beginning is that no dig garden is good if you have enough compost or manure or media to keep adding to your beds year by year, and if your beds or the subsoil under your beds isn't full of blinking stones in the first place. So I'll carry on with the concept of no dig, as I said, because I'm a lazy devil. My back is giving me tremendous grief at the minute from a bit of overexertion. Anyway, I'll finish the video now. You can see that the potatoes I planted are starting to poke their heads up. Anyway, thank you, bye.